Are you tired of coming home with sore legs after standing up on your feet all day? Are you over being told off for clocking in 2 minutes late from your lunch break? Or do you want to join your friends who work in corporate, they have their weekends, they have the Christmas period off to spend time with their friends, their family, pursuing hobbies? Well, it sounds like you're looking for a career change, but you're not sure where to go. Well, let me give you the reasons why I quit my job as a hospital pharmacist and went over to the dark side, as many of my pharmacist alumni like to tease me. But whether you're a nurse, a doctor, a physio, a psychologist, I believe these same reasons will apply to you. And stick around for the last reason, as I'm sure it's going to give you a smile and hopefully a laugh. So let's get into it. Reason number one for why you should consider a move into the pharmaceutical industry is you get to maximize your degree. This thing here, all those hours of study, all that caffeine, you don't want that to go to waste. And moving into the pharmaceutical industry makes perfect sense because the knowledge you have of medicines, the skills you have of reading, understanding clinical papers and science are going to be directly transferable into any pharmaceutical role. Number two is development. The pharmaceutical industry has a plethora of roles. I remember when I first got in, just being able to open my eyes and see, wow, there are so many roles that I never knew about in uni, I think will be a very pleasant surprise to you as well. And once you find the avenue that you want to go down, these companies are willing to develop you. They want you to be better at your job. And if you have aspirations to further that skill overseas in a different country, let's say you want to move to London, you want to go to New York, global pharmaceutical companies can make that happen for you. Unfortunately, in the hospital system, those opportunities just don't exist because you can't get a crane, pick up your hospital from Sydney, Melbourne, wherever you are, and drop that in the middle of New York City. So career growth is definitely a strong benefit I would consider if I was in your shoes. And let's just dial it back to a more local level. Let's say you want to improve your leadership skills. Many of these companies have their own internal leadership programs, which are at the same level as an MBA. So career growth and development is definitely something you should strongly consider when moving from your current healthcare role into a corporate role. The third one is environment. The people that you're working with, a lot of them were healthcare professionals, just like yourselves. Look at me, I'm an example. And I remember the first team that I joined in pharmacovigilance was basically all pharmacists because we had those direct transferable skills. So you'll see a lot of like-minded individuals, similar backgrounds to yourself. And generally speaking, the teams that I've been in, the people are amazing to work with, learn a lot from them. And many have come from different avenues, outside of a nurse, a pharmacist, a physio. Some have done marketing, commerce, or personal training. And I think it's a fascinating microcosm being able to work alongside these people. On top of that, yes, there are the corporate perks of beautiful offices. I recently interviewed Michael Bramble at the new Inova offices where they've got the dream hub, they've got quiet zones, they've got amazing facilities, and that's not unique just to them. Most pharmaceutical companies that I've been at, there is the free coffee machine, there's free fresh fruit delivered every day, there's snacks, and the perk that we never get in hospital, office parking. Forget about lining up for those limited parking tickets or paying exorbitant fees out of your hard-earned money. That will be a distant memory for you. If there weren't enough food perks, even amongst your own team, I've seen regular bake-offs and celebration of birthdays, so you will have your adequate sugar hit. Now, the fourth reason is financial reward. It's no secret we're in the middle of a huge cost of living crisis wherever you are in the world. So I think we should all be thinking about how we can earn the most amount of money for the time that we're putting in to our jobs. And if you want to see what sort of salaries you can command in the pharmaceutical industry across 8 different functions, click here, or otherwise check the link below. I'll leave the full playlist there so you can cycle through them all. I'd also encourage you to hit subscribe on the pill-shaped button below so that you don't miss any content with industry trailblazers, where we do uncover some of the work perks afforded to people in the pharmaceutical industry, which I'm sure are going to blow your mind because some of these perks can add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's something I know just does not exist, unfortunately, for pharmacists, nurses, doctors, physios. And that brings me to the fifth reason, work-life balance. Unfortunately, as a frontline healthcare worker during COVID, you probably never got to experience what it felt like working from home and the benefits of opening your room door, strolling out, grabbing something from the fridge, making yourself a coffee, not having to rush on public transport to get to wherever your workplace is. And that's something that's continued for the pharmaceutical industry, with most companies allowing 2 to 3 to 4 work from home days a week, depending on the company. So think about how much extra time that's going to give you to go pursue your own hobbies or get through the endless chores that we all have. I think from a mental health perspective and productivity, work-life balance that is offered in the pharmaceutical industry is something you cannot discount. Now, let me tell you about 2 perks that I recently read about from 2 of the largest pharmaceutical companies. The first one being MSD. They've announced a program where if any of their employees unfortunately get diagnosed with cancer, they will pay them out for a full year just to ensure they're supported and take some of the burden, the stress off their shoulders. The second one is from Merck Serono. They have a fertility benefit program where permanent employees and even their partners who are looking to conceive are eligible for reimbursements on IVF, on fertility testing, on hormonal treatments. Talk about looking after your staff. And correct me if I'm wrong, leave a comment below. I have never seen a chemist warehouse, a hospital afford these perks to their staff. And not to mention, most pharmaceutical companies have 13 weeks paid parental leave. And that's irrespective of if you're the mother or the father. I think if you recognize time as our most precious asset, that time with your newborn and your family, again, you cannot discount that. For me, that's very high up on my radar. The sixth reason is doing meaningful work. Everyone has their own individual purpose, but I think for us as healthcare workers, we really want to make the world a healthier place. And you might be in an oncology team, a hematology team, a rare disease team, where you literally are saving people's lives by bringing these medicines to Australian patients. But even if you're working in diabetes, in respiratory, you are changing the lives of these patients in a very positive way. And I think that is something very powerful and probably speaks to the core of why we studied healthcare in the first place. Now, my seventh reason for why I quit my job as a pharmacist to join the industry is you don't have to stand up anymore. You don't have to have sore legs. You actually get to sit down at the end of the workday. If you want to go off and join a run club, you still have the gas in your legs to do that. Although there is a catch-22, and as I experienced, you have to be careful what you wish for. Because when I moved into my first corporate office role, I remember seeing people in the office scramble for the 1 or 2 stand-up desks that we had available. And I would text my pharmacist friends, look at these losers. They want to stand. What's wrong with these people? But after all the morning teas, I started to realize it's time for me to stand. So there is a fine balance, but still I wouldn't have it any other way. I'd rather sit down 5-6 hours a day and still have the energy to go to the gym, to play sport, to go for a run club at the end of my workday. Now, I've talked about the 7 reasons why pharma is the place to be. But click here if you want to see why I think pharmaceutical sales reps arguably get to take the most advantage of these perks. I'm sure it's going to help you with deciding whether you make the move into pharma. And actually, it's one of the best roles to start with.